Hi, this tutorial is designed to introduce students to the new Blackboard Collaborate, our latest e-learning tool at UNCG. First, I want to point out that I'm using a Mac, but when necessary, if there's any differences with the PC, I'll point out how to do that as well. I'm also using Mozilla Firefox. You can see up here in the top left corner, Firefox right there. If you don't have Firefox on the computer that you're going to be using to access Blackboard Collaborate, you can download it for free at firefox.com. The reason we use Firefox is because we found through testing that it performs the best when we use Blackboard Learn, or our current learning management system, as well as Blackboard Collaborate, our e-learning tool. So the first thing you can do to minimize any problems that you might be having is make sure to use Firefox every time you log in. So here's the class. This is a generic class that I've just created. I want to show you how you would access Blackboard Collaborate for the first time. I'm going to click on Tools right here. Your instructor may also provide a link here in the menu item somewhere, but the default method seems to be by clicking Tools right here and scrolling down. Now I'm doing this on before classes start this spring semester, and right now Illuminate Live is showing up right here. We're told that this weekend that there's going to be a change and you're going to see Blackboard Collaborate. So I'm going to click Illuminate Live right here. Hopefully after this weekend and when classes start, you'll be clicking on Blackboard Collaborate, which, if they follow alphabetical convention, will probably be up here. But for right now, I'm going to click on Illuminate Live, and we're going to pretend that it says Blackboard Collaborate. I have to scroll down. There's a little bit of a space right here. And here's the class that I want to access. You'll notice that it only lists one class at a time. That's because for this particular date, that's the only class that I have scheduled. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, Class 1. It's telling me that it should launch shortly. That's good news. It's going to ask me if I want to open it up with Java. Your screen is going to look a little bit different if you're on a PC, but it's going to have basically the same information, asking you if you want to use Java to open this application. You're going to say yes or OK. Now it's asking me that Blackboard Collaborate is requesting access to my computer. I want to allow that. I see a loading sign. Now this is sort of important. It's going to ask me what type of connection speed that I want to use. And right now I'm connected using a wire, so I am on cable or DSL. But if you're not, wireless seems to be a very popular method to access online classes these days. And so if you are using a wireless connection, that should be fine. Just make sure that you select wireless right here. The other tip that I would give you if you're at home and you're on a wireless connection is make sure that other folks that are there aren't using the wireless connection at the same time. This program can use a lot of bandwidth, and so you want to have all the juice that you can. So if you're at home and you're using wireless, be sure to select wireless here and try to be the only one that's using wireless at that time. But I'm on a cable DSL, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to click OK. So here's the class. Looks like the instructor is already in the class. You can see that everybody's name is over here on the left. This is a PowerPoint slide that has been popped in there to share with the students. So let's take a little bit of a look around. This is obviously the whiteboard area. These tools over here can be used to draw if your instructor wanted you to do so. I've got black ink, which doesn't show up that great on here. So I'm going to do a little bit lighter green maybe, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's much easier to see. So basically these are all things that you could add to the whiteboard. And depending on how your instructor has the course designed, you may use these tools more than others. If you do want to use the text-based tool, I recommend using this icon right here. What you would do is you would draw a box and then type in Again, the default is black, which doesn't work great with this dark blue background, but it's pretty easy enough to change. You can also change the opacity here, the font if you'd like, the font size, as well as bold, italic, and underline. So we also have these tools over here in the top left corner. These are on the far left are called the emoticons, and so in the previous version, if you're familiar with that, you could select different emoticons to express how you were feeling at that particular moment. LOL, applause, disapproval, that kind of thing. We also have this away button right here if you need to step away for just a minute. And probably one of the most used buttons, the raise your hand button. So if you want to raise your hand, you simply click the button right there. If you want to lower it, you can click it one more time. Some folks, instructors, like to use the polling feature. That would appear right here. You have the yes/no options as well as additional options depending on how they're using that. Now I want to show you a very important aspect of logging on to Blackboard Collaborate, and that is using the audio setup wizard. This is what's going to be used if you're going to be communicating with your instructor using audio. So I'm going to access this by clicking on either the tools link up here and going to audio setup wizard, or I can click on a shortcut right here, this little icon that looks like a microphone with a little stick of dynamite or something next to it. So I'm on a Mac, and so this is going to look a little bit different here at the beginning, but I'll tell you if you're on a PC when you should start seeing things that look familiar. This default on the Mac is to sort of get your stuff set up beforehand, so I want to make sure I select the headset that I'm using, which is Logitech. You can find that on the top or the side of your headsets. That's what I want to be the output, or where I hear the audio coming from. And then for the input, I want to make sure that I select the headset as well. So those things look good. Now I'm going to say OK, and hopefully I can hear a pleasant woman and a computer voice talking to me. And I can use this slider down here to set it to the optimum level for me. So that sounds good. So I was saying yes, I was able to set it nicely. And here it's going to ask you again, and this is more what it would look like if you're on a PC. It's sort of redundant on the Mac side for some reason, but if you're on a PC, they're going to ask you to select your input and output devices this way. So make sure for both you want to select the headset that you're using. So here, a question I get a lot of times is the single talker versus multiple talker. You're almost always going to select single talker. A single talker would be if you're using the headset by yourself. You're not using a microphone for a whole room full of folks. So we found the best way to do this is with just one person using a headset, and so you want to select single talker here. And now it's going to ask me to record myself to make sure that the microphone is working properly. So I can see that I'm getting some levels right here, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to hit stop and play it back to make sure that I can hear it right. And that sounds good. So I was able to set it up. It sounded good when I played it back. If I wasn't happy with the way it sounded, I could hit no right here and go back and re-record it. So now it's telling me that the setup is complete. So that's how you do the audio setup wizard. Now how do you talk? Well, there's this nice nifty button here called talk right there. And so you'll see that the microphone next to my name has shown up now when I'm talking. And so let me turn that off because I'm hearing a little bit of feedback and I don't like to listen to myself talk because I've got another computer with the instructor PowerPoint over here. But that's basically how you do it. You click this button, and when you see that microphone next to your name, you know that you're live. One thing that's sort of both for technological reasons as well as for manners, I think, is to turn your headset off or your microphone off when you're not using it. So you just want to click it on, say what you need to say, and then turn it off as soon as you're done talking. That way it's going to keep the bandwidth low, make sure everybody can stay on the session, as well as make it easy for others if they want to say something. Some instructors like to use the video features in Blackboard Collaborate. This option right here to the right is the preview button. And so that's what if you want to check your hair, make sure it looks good before you send it over the web, you can do that. So when you're ready, you can just go ahead and hit the video button there, and that'll send it out. Right now, it's the class is set up for moderator focused, which means that the moderator or the instructor is the focus, and they don't have their headset or their video camera turned on right now, which is why you're not seeing them there. Most of the time you want to see other people, not yourself, which is why my picture is so small down there. We've also got chat tools down here. This is where you can stay in contact with other folks in the class or with the instructor. Maybe you're having some technical issues, or you can't hear everything, or maybe you can't talk. Oftentimes, if there's any problems, maybe a student isn't able to talk, and so what they can do is participate in the class by typing in down here. You could also raise your hand, as we just discussed, as well, to get the instructor's attention. Let me show you what it looks like if we were going to go on a web tour. Sometimes different faculty members like to do it in different ways, so let me go over to this moderator computer that I got, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of the UNCG website. So basically everywhere that I click on as the moderator, you're going to follow. I just clicked on academics. Now if I click on athletics, it's going to take it takes it a little bit longer, it looks like, to load the athletics. But that's how that works. So the web tour is pretty easy to follow. Let's go back to the regular whiteboard. So maybe you're having some trouble. Maybe you're able to get into the class, but you're having trouble following, or maybe you're hearing it's what sounds like chipmunks. They call it chipmunking. When you're in a class and everybody's voice seems to get really high. Well, that's based on what we talked about earlier, your connection speed. And so one thing that you can do is, if you start hearing those chipmunk sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks, go under Blackboard Collaborate Preferences, or if you're in Windows environment, I believe it's under File Preferences, and then you can select, come all the way down here, come over under Selection or Session Connection, and then select one less level than you're currently at. And I would do that until that sound went away. 9 times out of 10, that'll solve the problem. So say you're having problems even connecting to Blackboard Collaborate in general. One solution to that is to come under here in Firefox and go under Tools, Clear Recent History, and then you don't have to check everything, but if you want to check Cache, and then Everything right here. And what that'll do, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm not having problems, but in the event that you are having problems, clearing the cache is going to clear up all the stored files that you have on your computer. What the cache does is it basically keeps the computer from having to download new information. So if it thinks that it's going to a page that you've been to before, it doesn't have to re-download that information. And that's great if you're surfing the web or doing things like that to preserve bandwidth. But for this kind of thing, there's new information coming all the time, and so the cleaner your cache is, the better off you're going to be. If you're not able to get into Illuminate, we also have some resources, numbers that you can call. I'm going to put up this number right here that is a Blackboard Collaborate technical support number for North America. So I know there are times perhaps when you're unable to get in. This is a number that you can call and talk to somebody. I think it's much easier to talk with somebody over the phone while you're troubleshooting the computer, and this number will be able to help you with that. I hope this tutorial has been helpful for you. Happy Blackboard collaborating.